WWE and WCW had a lot in common and frequently borrowed from each other. That extended to on-screen rivalries, whether that was the case while both promotions were in existence or long after WWE had won the so-called war. Vince McMahon may have outlasted his closest competition, but his presentations of certain feuds didn't always eclipse the way they were done by the Turner-backed organization. Sometimes, however, they very much did. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 rivalries done in both WWE and WCW. Join us! Number 10, Bret Hart vs. Curt Hennig. One of Bret Hart's all-time favorite opponents was Curt Hennig, aka Mr. Perfect. The two were incapable of having a bad match together and routinely tore the house down with their watertight exhibitions of technical wrestling excellence. Hennig was also involved in some of the Hitman's most iconic WWE moments, dropping the Intercontinental title to Bret at SummerSlam 1991 and doing the honors once again as the excellence of execution advanced to the finals of the 1993 King of the Ring tournament. It was only natural that two wrestlers with such well-documented chemistry would want to lock up again when the chance presented itself almost 5 years later. With both men now getting their paychecks signed by Turner and not McMahon, they tried to recapture the magic at WCW Uncensored 1998. With Hart looking to defend the honor of WCW against the villainous New World Order, the two had a match that was just fine. Far from perfect, no pun intended, with neither man quite in their athletic primes, it was still an enjoyable wrestling match from two very good professional wrestlers, with Hart winning cleanly to end the dispute. Number 9, Rey Mysterio vs. Eddie Guerrero. Two of the shining stars of WCW's cruiserweight division, Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero habitually stole the show whenever they were booked to wrestle each other. Clashing over the cruiserweight title in late 1997, Eddie and Rey had one of the best matches, well, ever at that year's Halloween Havoc. The Luchadors continued to variously team and feud with each other until Guerrero left WCW for WWE in January of 2000. They picked up where they left off when the Masked Man joined him a couple of years later and ended up capturing the WWE Tag Team titles at No Way Out 2005. Latino Heat's inability to beat his partner in supposedly friendly competition forced him to snap, however, leading to a heel turn and a summer series with the master of the 619. Their matches at Judgment Day, the Great American Bash, and on SmackDown were all top tier, but fans mostly remember the storyline for the custody of Dominic element and resultant ladder match at SummerSlam 2005. Getting to see two such incredibly talented performers scrap so regularly was a true treat, and the program, while different to their WCW one, was a more than worthy sequel. Number 8, Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper. Not too long after Hulk Hogan's arrival in WCW, it became evident that the Hulkster was going to get his mates gigs and look to work with people who he had a track record with. That included potential opponents, and who better than his old adversary, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Hogan and Roddy had engaged in a fierce feud during WWE's rock and wrestling boom in the mid-1980s, with Piper proving to be the perfect villainous foil to the heroic Hulk. The two men, who were on opposite sides of the ring for the very first WrestleMania main event, rekindled their rivalry over a decade later in WCW. This time, however, the roles would be reversed. Hogan was now the treacherous leader of the New World Order, and the Rowdy Scott was the beloved veteran showing up to help WCW and take down his nemesis. 2 months after emerging at the climax of Halloween Havoc 1996, Piper challenged Hogan in the main event of Starrcade. And you know what? Hot Rod got the win, making the Hulkster pass out to his sleeper hold to win the WCW World Heavyweight... Wait a second, the title wasn't on the line. What a load of old Belair shit. Number 7, Goldberg vs. Chris Jericho. To call Goldberg and Chris Jericho's 1998 WCW feud one-sided would be an understatement. Hell, it barely even counts as a feud at all, since one person, Jericho, was doing just about all the legwork, while the other person, Goldberg, felt the entire thing was beneath him and had to be convinced to do as much as even hit his antagonizer with a spear. Big Bill's refusal to work a proper feud and match, even if it was a quick squash with him, was one of the key factors in Jericho's decision not to renew his WCW contract and sign with WWE instead. When Big Bill joined him there almost 4 years later, his second feud was with the one-time cruiserweight he felt wasn't on his main event level beforehand. Tensions boiled over before the two even began feuding on screen when they got into a backstage scrap at a Raw taping. That fight was, according to various reports, won by Jericho, but the former Atlanta Falcon would prevail in their eventual one-on-one in-ring meeting at Bad Blood 2003. The WWE feud was fine for what it was, even if it could have used 100% more Ralphus. Number 6, Raven vs. Perry Saturn. After departing the good ship ECW in 1997, Perry Saturn and Raven would find success in the mid-card of WCW. Perry soon became a member of Raven's flock, though Saturn was never really fully under the spell of the former ECW champion and soon drifted away to make a name for himself. Eventually, Saturn made it his mission to break up the flock, leading to a Raven's Rules match between the pair at Fall Brawl 1998. Saturn won, freeing the flock members from the clutches of their bullying tormentor. 3 years later, Saturn and Raven would feud over something very different. A mop, to be precise. They feuded over a mop. A goddamn mop. Why did this happen? Well, that grungy prick fed Perry's one true love into a wood chipper at the behest of Saturn's scorned ex, Terry Runnels. Upset your man left you for a mop, are you, Terry? Get over it. We've all been there, sister. Anyway, things came to a head at Unforgiven 2001, with Saturn once again emerging victorious. A victory maybe, but it wouldn't bring back that hot piece of wood. Number 5, Kevin Nash vs. Sid. Tall, muscular men with solid heads of hair trying to powerbomb each other. What's not to love there? Well, a lot actually, because both the WWE and WCW versions of Kevin Nash and Sid feuds were... what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, crap. First facing off in the bad old days of 1995, WWE Champion Diesel and the master and ruler of the world's dispute led to Big Daddy Cool defending his title against his fellow giant in the main event of the first ever In Your House pay-per-view. Their headline effort was, what's the word I'm looking for again? Oh yeah, crap. Just as their lumberjack match at the second In Your House was, though at least that had a conclusive ending. Conclusive endings weren't on the menu when Nash and Sid squared off in a Master of the Powerbomb match at Starrcade 1999. With the rules stating that the match would end when one man hit his signature move on the other, it naturally ended with no powerbombs being performed and Nash just lying to the referee that he had done it. Hey, at least it ended their feud. Number 4, Randy Savage vs. Ric Flair. If there was one way to get under Randy Savage's skin, it was to make a pass at his wife, the lovely Miss Elizabeth. If you wanted to make the Macho Man an enemy for life, you could do what Ric Flair did and claim that Liz was mine before she was yours. Rick and Randy famously feuded after the Nature Boy doctored up some pictures of him and Savage's missus getting cozy, with Match responding by taking Flair's WWE title at WrestleMania 8. Slick Rick would eventually regain the title from Randy many months later, drawing a line under their beef. Well, for a couple of years anyway, because one of Savage's first orders of business when he joined WCW in 1994 was going after the dirtiest player in the game. In 1995 alone, the two wrestled on 3 separate pay-per-views. Flair beat Savage at the Great American Bash, with Randy gaining revenge in a lifeguard match at Bash at the Beach. Rick would dethrone Randy to capture the WCW World title at Starrcade, leading to more matches on television and a cage match at Super Brawl 1996. WCW relied on the combination often, yes, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ooh yeah, dig it! Number 3, Rey Mysterio vs. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho really came into his own during his feud with Rey Mysterio in early 1998 WCW. The arrogant heel defeated the Masked Man to capture the Cruiserweight title at the sold-out pay-per-view in January, with Jericho taking credit for giving Mysterio a knee injury that would keep the former champ out until the summer. Rey returned at Bash at the Beach and regained his title by beating Jericho in a no DQ match. Entertaining as their WCW work together was, it wasn't a patch on their later meetings in WWE. Having one of the best feuds of 2009, Mysterio and Jericho clashed on 3 separate pay-per-views and various times on television in a scintillating series over the IC title. Every match just seemed to get better and better, peaking at the Bash when Rey beat Jericho in an exceptional mask versus title thriller. But it wasn't just the matches that made this feud stand apart, it was the character work and angles too that really put it over the edge. Watching it all unfold was enough to make a man shout, "Booyaka, booyaka!" Not me though, I'm better than that. Number 2, Booker T versus Chris Benoit. There aren't many combinations of wrestlers who could successfully pull off a best-of-7 series of matches, let alone twice. That they were able to do so in WCW in 1998 and then again in WWE in 2005 speaks to the in-ring artistry of Booker T and Chris Benoit. Their first series began on the May 25th, 1998 episode of Nitro. Looking to become #1 contender for the WCW television title, the two traded the advantage across episodes of Nitro, Thunder, and Saturday Night, heading into the Great American Bash Decider, tied at 3 apiece, where the Harlem Heat Man just about edged it. In late 2005, the 5-time WCW World Champion and the Rabid Wolverine attempted to replicate their previous feat, this time with the WWE United States Championship up for grabs. While enjoying a 3-1 lead over Benoit, Booker went down with a groin injury and was replaced by Randy Orton, who ultimately managed to win the series 4-3. When Booker was healthy again, he dropped the US title to Benoit in a final match at No Way Out 2006. Number 1, Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. For the main event of WrestleMania 6, WWE took the novel approach of booking two babyface superheroes against one another in a champion versus champion showdown. WWE Champion Hulk Hogan met Intercontinental Champion the Ultimate Warrior following a friendly rivalry built on competition and a desire to be the best. Outside of a brief interaction in the 1990 Royal Rumble match, the two didn't touch until they were in front of around 68,000 people inside the Toronto Skydome. Ostensibly passing the torch to his successor, Hogan put Warrior over clean in the middle. Hey, did you really think that the Hulkster wasn't going to get his win back eventually, brother? Over 8 years later and still seemingly haunted by the loss, Hogan was instrumental in bringing Warrior to WCW for a redux that gave fans serious reflux. Because it made us vomit all over ourselves, you see? While WWE's version of the feud was an artistic and commercial triumph, Warrior Hogan Part 2 was a total disaster, from their hokey segments and rambling promos to the eventual blow-off at Halloween Havoc 1998, where Hogan offered the perfect visual metaphor for the whole farce when he accidentally set his own face on fire. Thanks for watching.